Politicians labeled it a deadly insurrection, with some calling it worse than Pearl Harbor and a stain on our history. Words like insurrection and attack on democracy echoed through the halls of power, painting a picture of chaos that threatened the very core of the republic. But now here are the videos. You be the judge. If footage shows Capitol Police appearing to encourage individuals to enter the building, does that qualify as the worst attack since Pearl Harbor? Watch as officers seem to facilitate access, destroying the official narrative of unbridled mob violence. But the deception runs deeper. Investigative reports and whistleblowers have exposed that the Capitol was crawling with federal agents, some even embedded in the crowd. Tucker Carlson revealed that the FBI had informants and undercover operatives present that day, raising the question, who was really orchestrating this?
U.S. law enforcement or military agencies had anything to do with it. That never crossed my mind. I never thought it was a false flag or anything like that. I'm not a conspiracist by temperament. I never thought that. And then I interviewed the chief of the Capitol Police, Stephen Sund, in an interview that was never aired on Fox, by the way. I was fired before it could air. I'm going to interview him again. But Stephen Sund was the totally non-political, worked for Nancy Pelosi. I mean, this was not some right-wing activist. He was the chief of the Capitol Police on January 6th. And he said, oh, yeah. That guy was filled with federal agents. What? Yes. Well, he would know, of course, because he was in charge of security at the site. So the more time has passed, now it's been 2.5 years, it becomes really obvious that core claims they made about January 6th were lies.
And then there's Ray Epps, the man caught on video repeatedly urging the crowd to go inside the Capitol.
As soon as President Trump is finished speaking, we are going to the Capitol. It's that direction. That's where our true problems lie. President Trump is done speaking. We are going to the Capitol. That's where our problems are. Okay, folks, we need your help. As soon as President Trump stops speaking, we are going to the Capitol. The Capitol's in that direction. Let people know. Spread the word. In fact, tomorrow, I don't even like to say it because I'll be arrested.
Well, let's not say it.
We need to go, I'll say it.
All right.
We need to go in to the Capitol.
Let's go.
Constitution is what it's about. Not Antifa,
They actually
not
pulled
Black
him through.
Lives
They didn't just
Matter.
let him through.
This
They
is
helped
about
him
the
through.
Constitution. It's more
What?
important
Yeah.
in my life, your
Undercover
life,
agent
their
type
job.
shit. Yeah.
Despite being one of the most visible instigators, he was charged with a minor misdemeanor. Why? Because as documents later confirmed, Epps was an FBI informant.
Ray Epps was on FBI's most wanted list one day, and the next day he was off of the FBI's most wanted list. There are only two ways that happens. You die, or you're informant.
The evidence suggests this was a setup, an orchestrated event designed to pin the blame on Trump and his supporters. After stealing the election, the establishment needed a way to demonize his base, justify his social media ban, and push a false narrative of domestic terrorism. But the media's narrative collapsed under scrutiny. Innocent people, many who weren't even at the Capitol, were imprisoned. Take Matthew Perna, a man who walked through an open door, took no violent actions and later died by suicide after facing relentless prosecution, or Jacob Chansley, the so-called QAnon shaman, whose case was riddled with contradictions.
Dangerous conspiracy theorist dressed in outlandish costume who led the violent insurrection to overthrow American democracy. For these crimes, Chansley was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison, far more time than many violent criminals now receive. What did Jacob Chansley do to receive this punishment? To this day, there is dispute over how Chansley got into the Capitol building. But according to our review of the internal surveillance video, it is very clear what happened once he got inside. Virtually every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one of them even tried to slow him down. Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving the inspiration needed to these police officers to allow us in this building.
When the dust settled on January 6th, the rhetoric from politicians shaped public perception. But the raw evidence tells its own story. What was portrayed as the worst attack since Pearl Harbor does not align with what the footage reveals. A staged spectacle fueled by federal operatives designed to crush dissent. Shifting to an entirely different event, just 10 to 15 minutes before an assassination attempt on then-President Trump, witnesses reported alerting the Secret Service to a suspicious individual on the roof. This incident stands alone, highlighting potential security failures unrelated to the Capitol breach.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down, see him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
Yeah, look. There he is.
Because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people. Criminals. We have criminals.
He's
we
on
have
the roof. He's
drug
right.
dealers. We have people that
Right
should not be
here,
here.
right on the roof.
It's much
He's
tougher
standing
than
up now.
it happens.
He went right on the roof with that.
As Trump started, I noticed 2 officers that were looking for something or somebody. I was looking around myself and seen a guy on top of one of the buildings go in between one building to the next, and went and told the officer that he was up there. And when I went back to my spot, I heard that people could still see the person from where they were standing. So I checked that out, and I went back to tell the officer that if he came over there, he could see them.
Despite these urgent warnings from bystanders, no immediate action was taken, underscoring a troubling pattern of oversight. This event, distinct from January 6th, raises its own questions about protection protocols and response times. Even Snopes and other fact-checkers still maintain that no one informed the Secret Service about the guy on the roof. As we examine these events separately, the contrasts are stark. For January 6th, the politicians' words clash with the evidence. For the assassination attempt, ignored warnings speak to deeper vulnerabilities in the systems that are set to destroy people who hold the nation first. In both cases, the deep state, which is aligned with the globalists, doesn't want people who have the best interest of the nation to be in power, further confirming the war between the globalists and the people who want nation-states to exist. Stay informed, stay curious. If you found this thought-provoking, share and subscribe for more explorations into the hidden truths that the mainstream doesn't shed light on, or worse, blatantly covers it up.